guys, welcome back to the Steve Freeman podcast. I am your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling record producer, artist developer, Nashvilleian, car collector, a little bit of everything. I mean, when you grow up in the music business, you kind of got to be a jack of all trades and love a little bit of all of it, and most importantly, do a lot of it. Today, we're going to talk about how to build the right relationships in the music business. It's one of the hottest topics anytime I'm speaking somewhere, or even emails that I get from you guys, or even comments on videos. I hear a lot about your frustrations with building and developing the right relationships in the business. So we're going to talk about that today. Some of you probably are going to have a hard time hearing some of the things that I talk about, but you know me, I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to be 100% transparent and honest with you, because I believe doing anything less doesn't serve you very well. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, on all those different places. There's a place for you to subscribe to the podcast so that you get notified every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when a new episode is available. You can also hit the subscription button on YouTube. Make sure you click that bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video, whether it's the podcast or something about music biz tips or gear reviews. No matter what it is, you'll be notified of it. And something a lot of you did last week, I guess it was last week. The podcast must be resonating with you guys. A lot of people signed up for my weekly newsletter, The Revolution. It's absolutely free. It's tips, tricks, advice, personal stuff from me on being successful in music business and life. Believe it or not, those are three different things: music, business, and life. It's absolutely free. You can sign up at thestevefreeman.com or thestevefreemanpodcast.com. And if you're not following me on social media, I would love for you to do that. It is at The Steve Freeman on every social media platform. Also, back up just a second. Those of you that are choosing to join the weekly newsletter, The Revolution, when you go to that form, there's a place there for you to enter your Instagram handle. If you enter your Instagram handle, then I will follow you back. So it's really important that you include that information as well. All right, guys, into the meat of this week's topic, or today's topic. I keep forgetting we're 3 days a week now. So today's topic: relationships. I know that many of you getting started in the business, and even some of you that have been in the business a very long time, have a very difficult time building, developing, and maintaining the right relationships that help you be successful in your journey. And believe you me, I understand it. Now, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I've taken a completely different approach to building relationships in the music business. And I don't advise necessarily that anybody take my approach, because it has served me well in some points and it has been the detriment in other areas. I have burned a lot of bridges that I probably shouldn't have burned. I don't regret it now, but maybe, looking back 5 years, 10 years, maybe I should have handled things differently. I don't know that the outcome or where I am right now would have necessarily changed, but I could have handled some situations differently that would have had a different outcome with my relationship with different people. The first thing that we need to realize, and that I want you guys to realize, building the right relationships in the music business or in any business, even in your personal life, can be very difficult. But in the music business in general, it is very difficult, because I know you guys, you want to reach out to publishing companies, you want to reach out to co-writers, you want to reach out to record labels and booking agents and venues, and you've got to do all that to keep climbing the ladder. But I know you get frustrated because you want to email a publishing company. Let's say you're a songwriter, you want to email a publishing company, you do your due diligence, and you look up these publishing companies and you get to where the contact section is, and there's that inevitable verbiage that's on every publisher's website and record label, and that is, we do not accept unsolicited material. Basically, what unsolicited material is unless they asked you for it, they don't want you to send it to them. They don't want it. And that's a problem in the music industry. And I know it's a problem for you guys. It's frustrating for you guys because you think you have something to offer. And it's like, how do I break down this door if there's a big, huge, muscle-bound security guard that won't let me in the door? How do I get in the door? We're going to talk about that in the podcast. But the same thing goes with people that are artists that are wanting a record deal or that want to get in with a certain manager or certain booking agent. They all do that. And one of the reasons that they do this, and you have to understand, and I think many of you do, but it's a hard realization to come to, is that they have access to any songwriter they want, any artist they want. So they don't want to be inundated with you sending them your demos, sending them your songs. They don't want their email clustered with you sending an MP3 or 3 MP3s or whatever it might be. And I think you can kind of understand that. I think if you were in their shoes, you wouldn't either. But I think there's a fine line between making sure that doesn't happen, but also being open to finding new songwriters, finding new artists. Because of the power of the internet, one of the main things that we talk about in my artist development program is drawing that attention to yourself, not so much by sending emails or trying to create a relationship through a phone call or whatever. The way that the music business works these days is the law of attraction and supply and demand. Publishing companies are interested in songwriters that are already having success. They're not interested in signing you, the songwriter that may live in Nebraska, but you're a great songwriter. They're not so much in the business of discovery anymore as they are in hopping on trains that are already moving down the track. So when you kind of sit back and you realize, okay, they're not looking for me, I have got to bring the attention to myself so that I get on their radar, whether that's publishing, booking, record label, whatever. The new model, if that's the way that you want to go and you want a record deal or you want a publishing deal, is you need to be investing enough in your career as an artist or your career as a songwriter that you start to create a demand for yourself. Once you create that demand and you start creating a fan base, then, of course, you're going to be way further ahead of the game because that's where they're looking. Again, they're not looking to develop or start a relationship from the ground floor with any artist or any writer. They're looking for the writers who are already having success or may not have had success yet, but are involved in a camp that is having success. If you're an artist, they are looking to build those relationships with artists who already have an engaged fan base. So I get it. Building those relationships is very hard, and I know what you're doing. I was there once. You're just trying to find that one door that you can get past that security guard, or find the door that may be locked that you have to kick down. Getting those relationships, building those relationships is very, very difficult. This is a relationship business, but I want to talk with you about maybe building a different kind of relationship. I think you should be focused on building a relationship with potential fans. That, in today's modern music business model, really should be the only relationship that you really care about. Instead of spending so much of your time trying to get the relationship with this booking agent or a relationship with this music publisher or this publishing company or this record label or this venue, start creating relationships with foot soldiers who will go out and do that work for you. And by that, I mean developing yourself, creating a demand. Because when these record labels and publishing companies and booking agents, let's take live shows, for example. A booking agent, here's the thing you got to remember, and I've said this in previous videos that I've made. They are interested, whether it's record labels, publishing companies, or booking agents. They want to jump on trains that are already moving down the track. They are not interested in shoveling the coal to get it going. Why? Because there's no money in the beginning, right? When you look at a booking agent, a manager, a record label, or a publishing company, they only make money when you make money. So if you come to them empty-handed with nothing to offer other than your songs, there's no immediate revenue for them. There's no immediate upside for them. It's, matter of fact, it's all downhill for them because they've got to go through the entire development process to get you to a point where there is demand. So my message to you is you create that demand. Start trying to create relationships with existing fans, with growing a fan base, growing an engaged fan base, because when you create that demand, not only will that demand exist from the fan base itself, but you will start to see that you start getting on the radar of the booking agents and the managers and the record labels. That's how the new music business model works. So if that's your goal, and here's kind of the funny thing. This is what I teach my artist development students. No matter if that's your goal is to be a successful independent artist. If your goal is to get a record deal, or even especially a major label record deal, they're not going to be interested until you've accomplished being a successful independent artist, because a successful independent artist has done everything they want to do. They have gone through the development process. They have developed themselves as an artist. They know who they are as an artist. They're developing their sound. They're developing their image, and they've developed a growing fan base so that when they play a local club, 350 people show up. It's not soft ticket sales things where anybody can just walk in. When you're actually putting asses in seats and people are buying physical copies of your music, that's what those companies are looking for. So no matter what your goal is, even if your goal is to be signed to a major label deal, that is not going to happen until you've progressed through each step and are basically a successful independent artist. I've said this before, and I love this analogy because it can't be any more true. When is a bank more likely to give you a loan? If you don't know, I'll tell you. A bank will only give you a loan if you can prove to the bank that you don't need the money. It's hard to believe, but that's the truth, right? You go to your banker and you want a loan. The first thing they want to know is, do you have enough collateral to cover this should you not be able to repay the loan? Or can you prove to them that you have enough finances, enough cash reserves, enough collateral that they're not taking a risk on you by loaning you the money because you've already got it? It's the same way in the music business. They only want you when you can prove to them that you don't need them. What does that mean? That means put yourself in a position of creating a demand around you as an artist or you as a songwriter. That's the way to make it in today's modern business, modern music business anyway. Create a demand around yourself. You do that best by not worrying so much about the relationships that you're creating with the so-called industry insiders or the people that you think make the decisions, or the way that it runs in Nashville right now, the 22, 23-year-old Belmont graduate that's making all of the decisions in the music business. Worry about creating relationships with the people that really do matter and that really can help you accomplish your overall goal. And those relationships are with your fans and potential fans and people that have passion for what it is that you're doing. Looking at relationships broader and more so in the bigger picture, you also have to be very careful the kind of relationships that you build with people in the industry. I see so many people disappointed. I've had it happen to me a million times, where you help somebody in the beginning or you think that you're friends with somebody. Let me put this out there. And a lot of people don't like it when I say this, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's 100% true. You think you have friends in the music business and in the music industry until you start succeeding more than they do. then all of a sudden, if you aren't helping that person you think you're friends with, then all of a sudden you're not friends anymore. I've seen it happen a million times. I can't tell you the number of people who are extremely successful right now that I thought I was friends with and that I helped achieve their success and played a significant role in them being where they are right now, to we don't even have a relationship anymore because it wasn't a friendship. I thought I was investing in that person. Yes, as a friendship, but I think if you approach this right from the very beginning and you have an understanding, especially when anything has to do with business, you always hear people talk about don't mix business with pleasure, don't mix business with personal. That could never be more true than in the music business, because you don't really have friends. You have relationships and you have associations. But this is a me business. We talked about this the other day. The music business, the entertainment business is a me, look at me, look what I'm doing business. It's never look at we. Very few artists ever are willing to share the spotlight or take the spotlight and shine it on somebody else. Because everybody's afraid that if you reach down and you help somebody come up that rung on that ladder behind you, that it's not going to be long before they're going to be stepping on you to go to the next rung. It's a very competitive business. It's competitive by nature because it is not a team sport. It is a solo sport. So it's okay to make friends in the business, get to know people, but know going in that you've got to have the right set of expectations for the relationships that you are making. Is it a true friendship, or is this a, hey, we're going in the same direction, let's hop on the same train, let's try to get there at the same time. If I can help you, then I will. If you can help me, then you help me. And you got to know that those rules and those expectations are set out there. Now, a lot of people tell you, well, that's not how you should be. Well, I mean, when you really think about it, it's not how you should be. You shouldn't have to look at every potential relationship as what can they do for you or what you can do for them. It shouldn't be that way. But guys, the sooner that you realize that it is that way, maybe it shouldn't, but it is that way, then you'll start to understand and, more importantly, know how to prioritize the relationships that you're trying to make. This is a relationship business. I will never waver from that. But I think so many of you spend so much time focused on creating the wrong relationships. I think a lot of you spend so much time trying to establish and create relationships that you actually are not doing any work, because you think that once you create this certain relationship or you get a relationship with this person, then you can start the work. That is also not how it works. You should be putting forth 110% effort and trying to build those relationships as you go. But I think it's very important also, don't just try to build relationships with people. Build relationships and invest in relationships with people that are passionate truly about you, about what you're doing. That's difficult. Again, it's a we business and you've got to be careful. Everybody's looking for a leg up on the competition. And whether you want to believe it or not, everybody out there is your competition. Everybody. Very few people are going to put helping you above helping themselves. And that's tough. I've witnessed it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Example, there's a really popular artist that's coming out on the scene right now. She is killing it. I wrote with her for 1.5 years before anybody knew who she was. Then she got her big record deal, and the record label said, okay, we only want you writing and working with people in our camp. So I got cut out of the camp. You have to understand that that's how things go in this business. And I'm sitting here talking to you about it. I've been through it, like I said, hundreds of times, and I keep putting myself back in that situation because I am a relationship person. But going back to what I said at the very beginning, when I first came to Nashville and I first got into the music business, I really tried to be that guy that did everything for everybody. I sacrificed so much to help other people. Then I started realizing that didn't bear any fruit, that users will use as long as you will take, and they will take as much as you can give. Then I got very jaded and I approached things a little differently. And I started to take on this mentality of, I really, in all honesty, just don't give a fuck. I don't care if you like what I do. I don't give a damn if you like me. Matter of fact, I really don't like most of you. And I became that way. I mean, and to this day, I'm that way. Now, with people that I feel are genuine, and that I feel it's a two-way street between us, you will not find somebody more loyal than I am. But if you screw me once, we're done. I don't have time to try to continue to create these fake and maintain these fake relationships with people that don't benefit me. Now, you can say that's wrong, that's not how you're supposed to be, but unless you take some of that and implement it into yourself, you're going to get hurt time and time and time again. Look, I'm not saying be like me. My approach doesn't work for everybody. I managed, and I was fortunate enough to be able to create my own little niche and my own little crevice within the business of working with people who understood that that's how I am. I don't need anybody down on Music Row to do anything for me. I don't want them to do anything for me. I will rely on me. I will rely on my talents. So and that's a dangerous position to be in this business, because the powers that be, the inner circle of the music business, they feed off of having power over people and the fact that people need them to reach their goals. I decided that I didn't give a damn about any one of them. I was never going to ask them for anything. I was never going to expect anything from them. I was going to do my own thing. And if doing my own thing led us to a parallel place to where our interests aligned and our expectations aligned, then we would work together so that we both mutually benefited. But I came to a place where I don't need them for anything. I don't want them for anything. I will create my own thing. And that's what I've done. But I will also say that will not work for everybody. See, I'm not a pleaser. And a lot of creatives are pleasers. Now, do I want you to like my content? Absolutely, I do. Do I want it to speak to you? Yes, I do. Do I want it to help you? Yes, I do. But am I doing this to make sure you're happy? Absolutely not. I do this for me. I don't do this for anybody else. So I'm not saying be like me, because it doesn't work. Most creatives are pleasers by nature, and you want your art to be accepted. You want your personality and who you are to be accepted and liked and loved. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a dangerous place to be when you put too much of yourself out there and you starting these relationships from a position of weakness. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's not right for me, and it's not something that I would advise anybody that I work with. You always have to have a little bit of that fuck you in you. Because I will say this, most people in the music industry who do make the decisions, do they get off on the power they have? They absolutely do. I'm almost positive there are bi-weekly circle jerk meetings where they all get together and just jerk each other off. I'm convinced of it. I mean, and then we've got award shows that do the same thing. If you'll notice, all the same artists, all the same writers, everybody wins all the same awards. It's just, that's why I quit going. I don't go to the CMA Awards anymore. I don't go to the ACM Awards or the Grammys. I don't go to any of them, even though I'm a voting member. I don't go because it's you just show up year after year and it's the same people patting the same people on the same backs. And I saw that early on and I said, I'm not going to play into that. I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass. I'm not going to be that way. Again, that might not work for you. You might have to kiss a little ass to get where you're going, and that's something that you're going to have to identify. But I think it's also more about who you are inside, who you are as a person, and being true to yourself. A great example of this is Eric Church. Eric Church struggled on Capitol for years and years and years, going back to the Little Pink Lines or Two Pink Lines song, and they couldn't get it going. But what did he do? He started being Eric Church, and he started being Eric Church to Eric Church fans, and they grew and they grew, and they backed Capitol Records into a corner because now they have to let Eric Church be who Eric Church is. And the only reason he is where he is not because he tried to make the right relationships with the record label. It's because he built and is maintaining the right relationships with his fans. Relationships are the most important thing in this business. Relationships are the most important thing in any business, but you've got to, don't give up yourself. Don't give up who you are. If you're like me, everybody says I'm an asshole. And I am an asshole. I'm the first one to admit it. But that's who I am. And I let people know when I'm starting a relationship with somebody, I expect this. I expect that. And if you don't like that and that's not how you want to work, then we can't do business together. Plain and simple. Not everybody is that way. Some of you are more pleasers and you're willing to sacrifice a lot of yourself to get where you want to go. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. That's on you. That is your decision to make. What I will say is that no matter which type of person you are, be true to who you are when you're trying to start, build, and maintain any relationship in this business. Don't ever let them think you're somebody other than you are, because if you are okay with being walked on to accomplish your goal, then let them walk all over you. If you're not, don't. But the one thing that you can't do is be the kind of person like me and then act like you're not. Or be the other type of person who is willing to be taken advantage of in order to get what you want, but pretend you're like me. There's nothing anybody hates more than a fake person. I would rather people like me and accept me and want to work with me because of who I am and not in spite of. So guys, yes, this is a relationship business, but be careful how you enter those relationships. Look and try to create the right kind of relationships. I'm going to give you an example. I was watching a video on YouTube the other day of a guy that and I'm not going to name any names, but I don't dislike this person. I dislike a lot of the philosophies that they have. And the particular video that I was watching was, I think the idea of the video was how to get your music in TV and film. And he was encouraging people to go to IMDb and find who the music supervisors are and all of that, try to find out their contact information, and then send them emails about you as a songwriter or you as a producer or you as an artist to try to get your music in those television shows and films. Now, I've written songs and produced songs for a ton of the top television shows and films. I didn't get any of those placements by doing that. Furthermore, I want to tell you that is the exact opposite way to build a relationship with a decision maker in this business. I'm not saying don't contact them. I'm saying build a stepping stone of relationships to get to that point. They don't know you from Adam. And the last thing they want is their email clogged up with producers, artists, and songwriters from all over the world getting their contact information and sending them emails about, I want my song in this show. I'm so-and-so. I do this. I do that. That is the wrong way. You want to piss people off? If you're trying to create a relationship, do it the right way. It's stepping stones to get to those people. I guarantee you that if you do what this person said and you start going to IMDb and looking up sound supervisors, music supervisors on television shows and films, and you start contacting them directly, you're going to piss them off, and they will write your name down. They will write your name down and they will put a mark through it. Not only that, most of those people out in LA, they communicate with each other. That's another inner circle out there with music supervisors. They talk to each other. So if you piss one of them off, the likelihood is that you're going to piss a lot of them off. Like I said, they will write your name down. They will write your name down and then they will put a line through it. And you will never get your music on those TV shows in those films. Same thing goes with record labels and publishing companies. They do not want you contacting them directly. So what I'm telling you to do is don't give up. Invest in trying to create relationships that are stepping stones that get you to those people. Start trying to write with other co-writers that you know that write with writers that are signed to that publishing company. Get yourself in that circle. Then they have some sort of an association so that when they do hear something from you or about you, 2 and 2 equals 4. We have your stuff because you write with so-and-so that writes for our publishing company. Then there's an association there. It's more than you coming out of the blue. Same thing goes for booking agents. Same thing goes for record labels. What I'm telling you is build the right kind of relationships to where you put yourself on their radar. Don't throw yourself onto their radar. Attract attention to yourself. Create some demand for what it is that you do. And then I promise you, those relationships will start to come. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of hard work on your part. It's going to take determination. It's going to take failing. It's going to get people telling you no constantly. But you've got to get up every single day and keep trying to build the right relationships. Again, stepping stones. Make one relationship that you know might lead to the next, that will lead to the next, that might inevitably lead you to the relationship that matters. Then you've built a track history for yourself. Then it's not just, hey, I'm Joe Blow from Nebraska. Here's my demo. I don't accept unsolicited material. When artists want to work with me, I let them know when I'm ready for them to send me music to listen to. I don't want you just sending me songs. Number one, I'm really not allowed to listen to those songs. And let me talk about that just for a second, because I know a lot of people get frustrated when you do go about this the wrong way and you are sending publishers songs and record label songs. There's a legal issue here, because if you were to ever send one of your songs to a publishing company and then a year later one of their writers wrote something that was similar but never heard yours, they get sued all the time for things like that. The reason they don't accept those is a legal reason. That's the same reason I don't listen to unsolicited material, because I don't want you sending me something that may get stuck in my head that I may subconsciously take into a write someday, and then it's similar to what you sent me. There are a lot of people that do that take advantage of the process and steal songs and all the time. It happens all the time. There's probably 300 lawsuits going on in Nashville at a major level over people stealing songs. So a lot of times it's not that they just don't like what you're doing or they don't want to hear from you, which honestly is the case. They don't want to hear from you. They don't want you emailing them. They don't want to know you. You have to have done something that they want, and then they want to know you. They want to see that history. They want to see that engaged fan base. They want to see you accomplishing something before they want to know you. But I do want to put out there that the main reason most companies don't accept unsolicited material is a legal issue. They can't, and they don't want potential lawsuits. And taking your songs and listening to them is the first step to potentially some big lawsuits. So there's that reason as well. So in wrapping up today, here's what I want you to take away. When you start to make a relationship, it's okay to place expectations on that relationship. Whether it's friendship, a business relationship, or association, it's okay for everybody to know and to put out there on the table what your expectations are. There's nothing wrong with that. I encourage it. When you do start to try to build these relationships, make sure you're building them with the right people. Don't focus all of your time on trying to hit that relationship at Sony Records. Baby steps, stepping stones. Build relationships from the ground up that lead to that relationship that you really want. You broaden your circle. You start creating a story for yourself and a history of your work. All those things are some of the most important factors in the difference in failure and success anyway. And it further embeds you in the business as a player. Finally, focus more on the relationships that really do matter, the relationships that pay dividends. This is one of the ways that I look at it, and a lot of people disagree, but it served me well. I look at working with people, writing with people, or any relationship that I'm going into as an investment, just like I would invest in a stock. I don't have time to just run around and create friends. Friends are great, but most of the people that I consider my true friends are not anywhere in the music business. They're nowhere in the entertainment business, because I separate the two. When I go into a business relationship, I look at it exactly like investing in a stock. Do I think that stock's going to come up? Is it going to go up? Is it going to rise? Is it going to increase in value for me? If it is, then I invest in that person. I invest in that relationship. If it's not, I don't. If I don't see a potential for growth, if I don't see the possibility of a larger return than what I invested, then I don't. My personal life, completely different. It's a completely different set of rules I have for whether or not I'm going to build a relationship with somebody. But we're here talking about business, and that's how I handle it. If you're a songwriter or an artist and you want to achieve your ultimate goals, start by trying to create a relationship with people who are going to be passionate about you and about what you do. And that is fans. Build a fan base. Have a relationship with those fans. How many of you on social media are commenting back to every single person that leaves a comment on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook? If you're not, you should be. That relationship with that person is more valuable right now, today, than trying to get a relationship with somebody at Sony or Warner Brothers or Big Machine. Invest in the right relationships. Invest in the relationships that are going to pay a high dividend, or at least invest in relationships that are going to get you further down the road than where you are right now. This is a relationship business, but make sure you're trying to build, develop, and maintain the right relationships. Guys, thank you so much for being here again for another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. I am in Los Angeles all next week and into the next week. I'm trying to get the podcasts done now and schedule them for upload. If I miss a day, I apologize, but I'm going to be really busy out in Los Angeles. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on Apple Podcast, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. If you're watching on YouTube and you like the video aspect of these podcasts, click that subscribe button on YouTube, hit the bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new episode of the podcast or just another video to the channel in general. If you want to join my free weekly newsletter, The Revolution, I'd love for you to do that. Tips, trips, advice, personal stuff. It's just a great way for me to communicate with you guys beyond the podcast. You can go to thestevefreeman.com or thestevefreemanpodcast.com and sign up today. It's absolutely free. I don't sell your information or nothing like that. It's all above board, I swear to God. And on the opt-in form, there's a place for you to put your Instagram handle. If you put your Instagram handle in there, it shows it to me so that then I can go follow you. And if you're not following me on social media, you should be, damn it. It's at The Steve Freeman on all social media platforms. Guys, until next time, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you next time.